What's up, everybody? I hope you're doing good. Today, we're still talking about black characters. We have to, especially the original ones. Now, if you remember in a past video, I already said that we don't need to change the race of white characters to black characters. We've got plenty of original ones. And today, we're going to be going over some in companies that aren't Marvel and DC, like Image and Valiant, stuff like that, and Vertigo, right? Now, a lot of people only think about Marvel and DC, but there's tons of characters out there. And today, we're going to talk about some. And this is also a part one of this as well, because there are plenty of characters in these other companies as well that are great. Dark Horse included. Almost forgot about them, right? So let's just get on with characters. The first character we're going to start with is probably the most popular one on this list, and that's Spawn. So Al Simmons was an assassin for the CIA. He got killed by his boss and his best friend on his last mission. Now, after he died, he was destined to go to hell because of his life, and Malebolgia, this demon who actually creates hell spawns, told him, you can either just go to hell like you were going to do anyway, or you can become a member of my army, a leader of my army as a hell spawn, and if you do, I'll let you see your wife again. He goes, oh, okay, cool. But obviously things aren't as they seem. He sends him back, and it's actually 5 years past everything that's going on, right? He comes back, his wife is already married to his best friend, he remarried to his best friend, and they have a child together, so sucks. He's also disfigured, like he was burned alive, so he was still has that disfigurement from when he was killed, which sucks, right? Now, what's really cool about Spawn is not just his powers, which are cool, right? Which, you know, he gets like augmented strength, he can heal, he's also got a really cool cape that has like a life of its own, can create armor, and can be used offensively. Tons of really cool stuff. However, what's cool about him is the fact that he's actually not really a good guy. Like, his morality starts changing as the series goes on. And yes, he kills like mobsters and like pedophile serial killers along the way, but still, he's still thinking about how does he get back to his family. He doesn't, you know, for a long time, he doesn't actually care about people, right? But as time goes on, you start to see like he can use these powers that are literally from the devil for good, and that does create conflict, especially with his handler, the clown that's following him, named Violator. Now, a lot of you might have actually seen the film Spawn that was in the early '90s, where Michael Jai White played Spawn, and John Leguizamo played the clown. Now, it wasn't the worst film out there, but it wasn't the best adaptation either. I mean, there were definitely worse comic book adaptations. See these. Yeah. But either way, complicated character, and I love it. Now, the best friend that killed him, let's talk about that. His best friend's name is Chapo, aka Bruce Stinson, who was in that same assassin unit as he was, but actually was a little bit better and crazier. Now, he actually had a painting of a white skull right here, but then after Spawn found him and pretty much got his revenge on him, that wasn't a painting anymore. He actually used partial of a skull to fill that piece of his face that was missing. Now, he also became a member of the Youngblood, which was another like a hero team, which actually I'm gonna speak about later on for another character. But he's also complicated. Like, he loves killing, he loves being able to do that, but he also has a bit of a moral compass switch. But in the end of the day, it's just about the killing. He even goes so far as to tell Spawn, if I were a hell spawn, you know, the power is wasted on you, but I'm better than you before you had this, so the power is wasted on you. And literally he goes, I got the raw end of the deal, shoots himself, and he does become a hell spawn. He becomes something called Lord Chapel, which is a very, very powerful form. But thank goodness for everybody else in the universe, he doesn't stay that way, and he comes back as his regular self again. But yes, I love these two heroes, well, two characters, because they're complicated. They bounce back and forth between the spectrum. And just something to note about Spawn, it's not even an accident that Spawn is who he is, right? Because Spawn's mom was a devil worshiper. His grandfather actually met like an older hell spawn called Gunslinger Spawn. Like, so it was always meant for him to be who he was. The next character we're going to talk about is Fox from the Wanted comic book series. Now, this is actually pretty cool because her story is very straightforward. She comes from Detroit. She is from a gang-ridden place, and she really likes killing. And the place where she can go to do that is the fraternity. Now, unlike the movie counterpart of her, she does not really care about the rules of the fraternity. She's just there. She doesn't really care about the brotherhood. She doesn't care about any of that. She's just like, I just want to kill, and this is giving me an outlet to do it, and I can actually make money while doing it. Simple as that. Now you might go, Fox, why didn't I see her in the Wanted movie? Well, you did, but this is who she was played by. Yeah, here's a problem with that. Remember that whole race swapping thing that I was mentioning in the first video? Yeah, it works both ways. So let's just not let this happen, because this doesn't make any sense. You didn't even know she was a black character. I bet half the people had no idea this was a black character. It doesn't make any sense. It's pretty cool to know that they have a character like this, because most times where you just have like a random killing badass, it's usually a dude. And it's really good that it's actually a black woman, and she's intelligent, and she doesn't have any stereotypes. Like, even though that they made her from the inner city, she's not like a stereotype. She doesn't sit there, talk with slang every sentence she has. She is an operative. So, awesome. Now this one's from Valiant. This is Livewire, aka Amanda McKee. Now, she was recruited by Toyo Harada after she was in her group home. Now, this is actually from the series Harbinger, which follows Toyo Harada, who is the CEO of this foundation. He's the most powerful psionic on the planet. Not only does he have super abilities, but he can also bring out the abilities of other people who he wants that are like-minded. Pretty much, people who are violent. Now, what's really cool about Livewire is that not only did he teach her the art of Bushido, but her powers are that she can control machines with pure will. So she's designed very well, she's incredibly smart, and she's a samurai. And she gets her own series because, honestly, she's that badass. And to be honest, could you not see a movie with her? I think you could, absolutely. Next, I want to talk about Michonne. Yep, that Michonne from The Walking Dead. Now, Walking Dead began as a comic. A lot of people don't know that. But she, whether she's in the comic or the show, she was an impactful character. She began as a lawyer. She lived with her fiance. Obviously they had a great relationship with another family friend. And as you know, what happens to the fiance and the family friend, they turn into zombies. And when she's introduced, she's walking around with them on a leash. They are her protectors, right? Now, what's really cool about her character is that as soon as she gets there, she is a completely valuable member. Now, I'm glad that they didn't go with everything that happened to her in the comic. If you've read the comic, you know what I'm talking about. But they still do keep her character beats no matter how long she changes. Like, she's stoic, but then she starts to soften. So there is a difference. She actually starts to soften in the TV show versus in the comic. She kind of descends into madness a little bit more. She does, get closer and closer to Rick in both mediums, but in different ways. Like, one is she becomes stepmother to his children in the show, but then in the comics it's like he has trauma, I have trauma, so that's why we link. Either way, she's a very complicated character. She's not one-dimensional, and honestly, she takes the team through most of the stuff. Without her, they probably wouldn't have made it through half the stuff that they did. The next character we're going to talk about is Sentinel. Now, Sentinel was Marcus Langston. Marcus Langston actually found the book of a character named Storybook Smith. Now, he had a book where he could literally write down someone's life and make it happen. And usually it would be superheroes. So he actually looked at the book. Well, Marcus's father found the book, and then he kind of threw it away because he thought that it wasn't anything. Marcus found it and went, oh snap. He found his life in the book, and it said he was going to die as a drug dealer or something like that. So he rewrote his life, and then years later, we see what it ended up as, which was he became like an engineer and a scientist for the government, and he built this suit, and pretty much it was supposed to be used for the next generation of soldiers, but he wanted to impress this lady that was there, so he goes, you know what, let me put the suit on, try it out. The president at the time goes, hey, well, if you can make that work, then it's yours. He makes it work, puts it on, and he becomes the first leader of Youngblood, and also he marries the girl, right? Now, what's pretty interesting is that the daughter of the person who wrote that book, her name is Riptide, she's actually on the team now, and she finds out that he has a book, and she steals it from him. He finds out that she has it, and he kills her, and then blames it on another team member. And pretty much there goes his hero's descent into becoming a villain. And eventually everybody finds out what happens. He goes to this super prison. They take him out of there, and he becomes a villain. Now, what's crazy is his sister winds up taking his place in the government, and she becomes Lady Sentinel, and she's constantly reminded of, you know, the greatness that her brother once had and what he is right now, which is really cool to have two siblings like diametrically opposed where they weren't originally. Like, she grew up looking up to the guy, and now he's this insane villain. And the thing about that book is, yeah, you could write whatever it is, but since you're who you are, that writing doesn't necessarily mean that that's how everything is going to end. That's just a direction. It doesn't mean that everything in that book was going to be foolproof. And I really like that. It was actually pretty creative writing. Okay, well, honestly, that's it. It was going to be a shorter vid because we're going to do at least maybe 2 more videos for Image and Valiant and stuff like that. Now, I hope you're getting to see the picture that we're painting here, the fact that we have so many black characters out there, and once again, not the same, falling in different parts of the spectrum. We just have to keep on looking for these characters, push them to the forefront, and get these adapted, and stop making characters that have been white forever into black characters, because once again, very, very lazy. This has been your boy Gershon, and please remember to enter the nerd.